particularly interested in Charles' story about Michael Jackson buying the Beatles catalog, because Paul and Linda McCartney used to be clients of mine in the 70s, maybe about the time that Michael Jackson was buying the back catalog. And so often, at one point, Stella she was 6 years old at the time, so, but she used to call me her boyfriend. So I didn't realize she'd become as well known, obviously, as she is. My history is, of course, very different than Charles. I did a doctorate in philosophy. I've never done an art history course in my life, but I started to collect when I was studying over here, doing my doctorate, and I had a very generous Canada Council grant to study, and instead of spending the time as I should have in the library and spending the money on perhaps going to lectures, I spent it on work smart. I started going to Sotheby's and Christie's and buying prints, because I figured they were the only things I could afford, but I love art. I'd just never been able to afford it before. So I started to buy prints, and started out as a obsession and a hobby, gradually turned into my business. So when I finished my doctorate, I figured that I would just set up in London as a dealer. I didn't have any dependents at the time. This was 1971, mind you, and so I did that, and it went well from the start, and I've always stuck with it. Karen flatters me by saying I've known Mr. Picasso. Picasso made many works in many media, and he made I specialize in Picasso's printmaking, so etching, engraving, aquatint, particularly his linoleum cuts. But I deal really in prints all the way from the beginnings of European printmaking in the 1470s through Picasso. He's really the last artist I deal with. So I went to see a Rembrandt etching this morning, and the man then, I said, I'll have to take it away. He just rolled it up and put it into a little tube this big, a 10,000-pound print. And I had to take it home to do some research on it. And I was terrified that I don't usually like to carry these things around in tubes, because I did have to write my name on it before I took it out of his premises anyway. But what are my 3 things that you want to know to be successful? One of them is not don't study the field that you're going to end up in. My technical expertise was all learned on the job, so it's very different than the kind of study of law. What you need to be an art dealer, I suppose, initially is a good eye. You need a sense of adventure. You need willingness to take a risk. It helped to have a bit of money at the start, which I really didn't have, so I had to be really careful. You need good timing. You need to be born at the right time so that you can buy the works of art cheap and actually buy a property to live in for a long time when property's cheap. So so I got the timing right, but I don't think that was all down to me. The 3 things that I would say to be, at least in my field, one is surround yourself with good people. You know, it's probable that whatever you do, you're not going to do it just on your own. So whether you're working for someone else or whether you're working for yourself, try and surround yourself with good people. People who will challenge you, people who are smarter than you. It's not difficult to find, usually. And people who fill in, who have expertise that you don't have, or skills that you don't have. So that would be my first thing. The second thing is think long term. Particularly in my field, it's really your reputation is, and the trust that people have in you is your greatest asset. And so I've always tried to think long term. I've still got clients from 30, 35 years back. It's really important just to be as honest, without qualification, to be as transparent as you can. I won't say that without qualifications. You can't, as an art dealer, a lot lot of what you're trading on is knowledge that you have about where things are, etc., that other people don't have. So you can't be completely transparent, but the more transparent and straightforward you can be with people, the better off that I think you will do. And my third suggestion, and this is, again, Charles used the word counterintuitive, and this is kind of counterintuitive, is to foster a sense of generosity. Now, that's not usually advice that's given to you about how to succeed in business, but I think that fostering a sense of generosity is although you can't do it as a business tool, just as you can't go and play golf, learn to play golf, you won't do well if you just go and learn it to hang out with clients. You can't foster a sense of generosity in order to do well in your business. But I think if you do foster a sense of generosity in yourself, you will actually do better. And I'm talking about generosity towards your colleagues. So, who takes the credit? Are you open-hearted with advice, with your time? I think it's important to be generous with your clients. Obviously, you have to make a profit, but I think I've always believed in leaving as much as I can in a deal for my clients as well. I mean, I want them to do well, and I want them to come back, and that's really important. And I think it's important to foster a sense of generosity to the world as a whole. There are billions of people that will never have access to the resources that you and I take for granted. Something like 15% of the world population owns 85% of the world's assets. Something like 1% of the world's population, among which many of you will be, if you're not already, own as much as the poorest 50% of the world's population. So I think it's really important to be generous towards people who will not have what we just take for granted. For me, that's involved a process of tithing through my entire career. I've always given a minimum of 10% of my income. Some years it's been 50% when I can afford it. One year it was 90%, but it's always been a minimum of 10% that I've given to social change causes. And because particularly when I was much younger, I really learned to give. I really learned the process of giving with other people was helpful to me, to have a peer group to give with, just as this is a peer group of people who want to do well in business. For me, the process of having a group of people to give money away with was really important. I helped to found a network 25 years ago, but the one that Karen mentioned is the funding network that I founded just over a decade ago, and which has been really, and I set that up because I wanted to have a peer group, and I wanted, or 4 of us actually set it up, because we wanted to bring other people into our circle of giving. One way of describing it is a kind of dragon's den for charities, only there are as many dragons as there are people in the audience. Usually we have between 80 and 150 people at our events, and they're friendlier than the dragons, and they don't have those great piles of 10, 20-pound notes sitting on the table. But we do probably dispense more money than they do, actually. The format is this: we have normally 4 projects come and present to us. Sometimes we have celebrity presenters, but not always. So wouldn't want you. But we've had everyone from Jon Snow to Daniel Craig to Sandy Solvig to Helena Kennedy. For those of you who know the law, so but they're not always celebrity presenters. And I'll give you I've given one of your colleagues,
Natalie.
Yes, Natalie, some things to give to you afterwards about the City Funding Network, because we've set up a special City Funding Network with the help of City Bridge Trust for people working in the financial industry. But you can go online and look at www, the funding network, or you can type in City Funding Network. So it's an event-based format. We have normally 4 projects come. Each get 6 minutes to present, 6 minutes to answer questions. They each ask for exactly the same amount of money. We then let the projects go, and we raise the money. Normally it's £6,000 per project. We do have some events for very young people that have lesser amounts, and some events for kind of high rollers that have a larger amounts. But our normal format is this 4 projects, £6,000. We try and raise £24,000 on an evening, and we always virtually sail over. And no one has to give, and it's £100. If you do want to give to something, it's £100, or you can give more, but it's £100. So we've over the years we've supported, I'd say, about 600 or 700 projects. We've just passed our £6 million mark, and again, that's mostly in £100, £200 donations. So that's a lot of donations for a lot of people. We've had over, in London alone, I think we've had 4,000 individual givers come and give at one of our events. And we're now going in 7 cities in the UK. We're going in, I think we'll be in our 7th country as of Friday, because we're starting in Singapore on Friday. And it's been a really interesting ride for me, because I've really enjoyed my career in the print world, and I'm still involved in that. But I've also enjoyed my career as someone setting up this giving circle and then rolling it out internationally, because it's helped me to leverage my own giving, but it's also brought many, many more people into the realm of social change giving. So I think it's a really, interesting thing. I mean, what's in it for you guys? For those of you who aren't experienced, it's a fantastic place to hear a number of projects based in different geographies around different issues. I always learn something, so it's a fantastic place to kind of get your feet wet, to start giving something back. Secondly, it's for those of you who are more experienced, it's still a fantastic place to learn. You'll always find something new, or you might find organizations working in your area of interest that you never knew about. So that's great. And the money always seems to go further when you pool it with the money of other people. And thirdly, if there are projects that, charities that you're excited about, that you think are worth supporting, you get to bring them to this network, because it's a members network. It's not a group of us who tell everyone what the projects are going to be. It's a members network. Our members propose all the projects. A member-led selection panel then assigns the slots. So I'd love it if you came and just tried it out. There's never any obligation to give, but I think it's a really good way to get involved, and I hope you'll give us a try and come and see what we're doing. And if any of you are interested in the art side, come to the Royal Academy at the London Print Fair at the end of April. But that's both my hats, and I really wish you well, so thank you.